All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's morning game show. This is the 27th episode of the morning game show. I mean, we have had 26, sorry, not 26 other episodes before this. And wow, if this is your first time here, I strongly recommend that you watch the 26 other episodes that we have had, especially if you are really interested in upping your money game this year 2025. You need it is important that you watch those 26 videos because among those, all of those videos can make you money in this year. Excuse me, it can make you into a millionaire this year before this 2025 comes to an end because we have talked on different topics. I talked on copywriting, content creation, ghost writing, script writing, video editing, graphic design, a whole lot, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, WhatsApp marketing, TikTok marketing. We've done a whole lot, and you really have to watch it. They've been power packed. Digitstem doesn't do small things. Our goal for this show, the Money Game Show, is to help you make more money. That is what this show is all about. And like I said, if you haven't watched any of those episodes before, you want to watch them. Now, how do you access those previous episodes? On this YouTube channel that you are watching this from, just click on the live, you will see a session titled LIVE in capital letter. Click on it and you will see all the other sessions. Watch them as many times as you want. Go through them. And the most important is subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss further updates, you don't miss further information, you don't miss further live classes like this, further life transforming classes like this. So you don't miss them. Okay. Tonight we are going to be talking about story writing, and we already have with us our amazing guest. Please pardon me. I hope I don't murder your name, but in my head this is the spelling. Kunam Iseme. No, Iseme. Well,
Yeah,
like I said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry in advance. But yes, we have an amazing guest speaker, Kunam Isemi, and he'll be talking to us, he'll be teaching us about story writing, how to make money from the comfort of your home by writing stories. Okay. What you do now is get your book, get your jotter, your notepad, whatever it is you want to use to just jot down as he is talking, and not just prepare yourself to implement whatever he's going to be saying, whatever he's going to be teaching us. Okay. And after the session, when he finishes his presentation, there is a 10 to 15 minutes period where you can ask your questions. Okay. So yes, I think we are wasting so much of our time. We can just get started. Okay. Yeah. Over to you, Kunam.
okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Digitstem. I really appreciate the invite to come and speak on to this weekend's episode on the Money Game Show. And I'm very, very sure for a lot of persons that have been following Digitstem, they have been learning a lot. And if you've been attending other sessions of the Money Game Show, you agree with me that it has been nothing less of value. It has always been value overload, value after value. And I can assure you today that today is not going to be an exception of the value that you have been getting in the other episodes of the Money Game Show. So once again, Konami Semin, yes, you did 90%. You tried 90% in pronouncing the name right because a lot of people miss it. So I'm Konami Semin. I'm a professional story writer, and I've made a lot of money writing stories, both for Nigerian clients and foreign sites, which is where I am more inclined to at the moment because I mean that's what pays more. So as we are going to be having this session, we are going to be learning a whole lot. So just like our host have said, you should get a notepad beside you because we are going to be learning a lot about story, not just about story writing. We're also going to be learning about how you can make money from this story writing, and then you're also going to be exposed to the best training out there that you can take up to launch yourself fully into story writing, and if you want to really earn from it. So if I'm very audible, if you are listening to me and you can hear me very well, please, I would love to know in the comments. I always love my session to be very, very interactive. So I'll be looking at the comments to know that people are really following and that I'm not lost, network issues and all. So I want to be very, very sure that we are all following. So please, if you are following me right now, let me know in the comment section if I'm very audible and you have been hearing me appropriately. Let me know in the comment section. Okay, so I'll just proceed. I think as more people join the conversation, we are going to have more comments. So let's get started with story writing as a whole. Story writing is a sub classification of writing as a whole, and writing is very broad, so to say. Writing is very broad, and we have different categories of writing. We have story writing, as we will be discussing today. We have copywriting. We have different kinds of writing. We have technical writing. We have script writing. Okay, so all of these kinds of writing are for different and specific purposes. And why is story writing that important? It's because it is stories that rule the world today. We see this is why blogs make a whole lot of money because of telling stories, populating stories here and there, and then the reading culture has really increased globally. It gets web novels, the industry has so changed in a way that stories is what people are making money from stories. It could be in written format or in film production or all of that. So it is really, really a lucrative skill that you should learn. But then, first of all, we are going to be talking about writing generally. So you have an understanding of what writing is. So if you ask me what is writing, I'll just say that writing is basically the act of giving life to words, right? That's what writing is. Basically, the act of giving life to words. There are various emotions that are created anytime you read a written piece of work. Sometimes you feel goosebumps, sometimes you get teary, sometimes angry at a character, or at other times you're just in between. You're like no emotions in particular. You get so that's what writing does to a reader. It's about giving life to words. If as a writer or someone that's learning to write, and then you cannot evoke certain emotions in your readers, then you have actually missed a whole lot. You have actually missed a whole lot. You've actually missed the point of writing. Now, all of this would not be possible if one cannot creatively use words together to achieve the desired effect. This is why I always say that everyone has a story to tell, but not everyone knows how to. Everyone has a story to tell, but not everyone knows how to. So, as an essential skill, writing transcends various skills, like I have said before. It transcends various skills of communication. This could be whether you are crafting an email, a report, an article, or a story at this instance. But then, understanding the fundamentals of writing can significantly enhance your effectiveness as a communicator. So it is that form of communication that allows you to express your experience, knowledge, and imaginations. So, just like any other skill, writing is learned. Writing is learned. Nobody, I tell you, nobody was born an exceptional writer. And this also brought down to story writing as well. It is all learned. So you cannot say that, okay, this one is a story writer, a professional story writer by birth. No, everything is learned. Everything is learned. And just because you are here in this particular session, that means you have an opportunity to also learn this high income skill for yourself. Now, what are the steps to becoming a very well seasoned writer? Well, you can decide if you surf the internet, if you make inquiries, how can I be better at my writing game? How can I be better at story writing? You can get a lot of recommendations, a lot of suggestions at how you can become better at story writing. But I tell you the truth that in all of this, it's just majorly two things that you need to become good at writing. Now we are still at the general level writing. We are still going to delve into story writing very soon. So it's just two major things, which is reading and writing. Reading and writing in itself. So you see that a lot of persons want to be better writers, but they suck at reading. They suck at reading. They admire the stories they read. They love the stories they read. They can feel the character development and all, and they want to be writers, but then they do not have a thing for reading. You cannot cheat the game. That's it. If you do not get anything from this session, just know that the first thing, the most fundamental thing to being a very good writer is that you must develop a reading culture. If you do not already have one, if you do not already have a reading culture, you must develop one, because that is the only way. That's the major way that you can actually become a very good writer and a story writer by extension. So moving further, this is why I always say that all writers, all excellent writers are excellent readers, but not all excellent readers are excellent writers. So by the time we are done with this session, you get to discover that, okay, this is I've been reading for a while, but then I cannot still know how to write. So that means by the information you are getting in the course of this session, you should be able to marry the two together, and you know that if you're already a reader and you cannot write, you know that you're already one step ahead, right? And you're very, very close to being a professional writer. Now let's get down to story writing in itself. Story writing. So what is story writing? So story writing or storytelling is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world. That's a quote by Robert McKee. It is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world. So you see that whether it is through maybe you're writing a copy as a copywriter, or you're writing an advert, or you're trying to push anything forward, you realize that the best of such copies are those that are written with a story. Or let us break it down. Let us bring it back home. You all agree with me that the best lessons that you can remember from childhood were the ones that were told to you using stories, right? So this is why it is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world. Stories. By using stories, you are able to push whatever message you are to your intended audience. You can push whatever message you have to your intended audience. This is why for those that are Christians, on this live, you will also observe how maybe in the Bible Jesus was using parables, stories to preach a particular message. So that's how important story writing is. That's how important and essential story writing is. So story writing, fundamentally, it is the creative process of crafting a narrative that conveys a sequence of events. It involves characters, settings, conflict, dialogue. So at the core of story writing, it is about creating an engaging and coherent tale that captures the reader's imaginations and emotions. Remember at the very first point in this session, I said that writing generally is about being able to invoke a particular emotion in the mind of your reader. So if you cannot do that, then that's the process. What you are trying to do has been defeated, right? So now, story writing is an ancient art. It's always been there from day one. It's always been used to entertain. It's always been used to educate. It's always been used to inform people from day one, from centuries back. It's the way you share experiences and feelings and let people know about the different cultures and different ways of life. Now, what are the elements of story writing? I'm very sure that for a lot of persons that are here, I'm sure we have a mixed audience of persons that are here to learn story writing, or persons that are here to see opportunity of promoting a program that teaches people story writing. So if you are in any of these categories, you just have to make sure that you stay to the end of this particular live session, and I'll guarantee you that it's going to be the best 30 to 45 minutes of your time that you spent this year. So let's quickly get into elements of story writing. So for elements of story writing, we have the plot, the setting, the characterization, and the theme, the conflict. So plot is basically just the organized pattern, or the sequence of events, the things that happen in your story, the things that make up your story is your plot. The things that make up your story is your plot. Yeah, as I was saying, it is the thing that makes up your story, the sequence of events that make up your story. That is what we call plot in story writing. So now under this plot, remember we are talking about elements of story writing. Under this plot, we have different parts that makes up a plot. We have the exposition, we have the rising action, we have the climax, and the falling action and the resolution. For want of time, we will not be able to go in depth into each of these parts to explain them in details. But that's what I've treated in my story writing profit accelerator course. That's what I've treated. Then also the element of story writing. After plot, we have the setting. Now, setting defines where and when that event took place. Now, note this in all of this. Note that when writing stories, it could either be fictional stories or it could be non-fiction. So, fictional stories is imaginary. Yeah, imagining things. You have the liberty to imagine as far and as wide as you can. No limitations at all with fiction. That is why it is one of the best-selling categories of story writing, fiction. With fiction writing, you can make a whole lot of money, because it's the limit is the limit to which your imagination can take you to. That in other words, you are limitless and you are free to imagine to any height. You see, there are some. I'm sure you watch some kind of movies and you be like, wow, what was in the mind of the person that was writing this storyline? Like, this is such a mad movie. You get, you are so intrigued. You have them in series, and you cannot wait to keep watching more episodes as they keep releasing them. You are always checking on their website or on their channel or wherever the movie is being posted. You just can't wait for it. Now, this is as a product of imagination. They are all fictional, not real. So that's why it's one of the best selling kinds of story writing, fiction writing, right? And that's one of the things that I've really emphasized in the story writing profit accelerator course. So now, as I was talking about setting before I quickly digress to talk about non-fiction and fiction in story writing. So setting, it defines where and when the event took place. It could be the geographical location, the time. It could be the past, present, or the future. I'm sure you. So let me say, for example, for those of you that read science fiction, you see that there are a lot of futuristic events that are being that are being written. Okay, used to make stories, predicting the future. Just like, let me say, yeah, I'm writing science fiction right now. Okay, and predicting how is AI going to affect our world in 30 years to come, in 50 years to come, how, like, my imagination of how the world could turn into. Imagine a world that is being ruled by robots. Imagine a world where humans, 90% of human activity has been taken over by AI. Again, so the setting in your story could either be past, that is historical, right? You can write a story based on past events, or I can set my story in the past. I can write stories about werewolves, okay, or I can write stories that captures an historical event. That's the past setting, or the present, the contemporary society that we are living in, or in the future. And then also the settings in your story. Remember, we are talking about elements of story writing. And also the settings in your story also includes where your character stands culturally and socially. So when you're writing your story, you want to make sure that as you are developing your character, I'm going to talk about characterization and character development, because that is actually one of the very key and very crucial elements of story writing, that if you miss it in your story, then you have missed everything. So, as I'm still on settings now. So your characters, setting also tells where your character stands culturally and socially. So a good setting is written to keep five senses in mind. So when you're writing the settings for your story, you're keeping these five things in mind. First is sight, smell, taste, feel, and sound. The reader should be teleported instantly. Like as you are writing your story, you should, of course, you know that it is you're writing it for a reader. So you should have a reader that a reader in your imagination that can I bring this reader into this particular setting. If I'm talking about a futuristic event, right? Or okay, let me say in a particular scene in my story, I'm talking about a murder scene, or let me say for example, I'm writing a love story. Can I make my reader giggle? Can I make my reader blush? How many of us have how many of us have watched the trending love in every world? Yeah, that is Omoni Ogoli. How many of us have seen that movie, Love in Every Word? I want to be sure. How many of us have seen that story? I've seen that movie rather. Love in Every Word. I want to know in the comments. Love in Every Word. If you've seen the movie, I'll be all of us here. None of us is being pressured by trending movies to go and watch them. So why I'm asking that, for those that have seen, I'm actually using that because it is a trending movie, and most of the persons most a lot of people have watched it. So you realize that the emotions that are being evoked for each scene, you see your friend blushing, you see yourself giggling, wow, like you're happy for love. You understand? So that is what settings does. You're supposed to teleport. That's what good story writing does to you, does to a reader rather. That's what good storytelling is to do to a reader. So you are meant to teleport your reader instantly to where you are writing. That is the setting of your story at that particular moment, and where you are trying to take them to. Moving further, then characters. Character is one of the major elements of story writing. Characters and character development. After when I finish talking about the element, I'm going to be talking about characters and character development because this makes the core of story writing before we now proceed to other part of this session. So characters, they are basically the lifeblood of any story. Any animal or anything that which can be personified are known as the characters of the story. It could be the main character, in story writing, we call them the lead. It could be the female lead or the male lead. You understand? It could be the female lead or the male lead. So in your story, the reader views the story from the character's viewpoint. I don't know if you've read a story or seen a movie. Now, I'm using this movie comparison because movies or shows basically are works of like their stories that are being put into motion, like they are stories that are being interpreted in visual form. So whether it is a novel or movies, just know that it's stories, it's story writing. It's the work of a great story writer to come up with that. So now, as I was saying, the reader views the story from the character's viewpoint. I don't know. Is there anybody here that has been reading a story, or you've been seeing a movie and then you kind of develop a beef towards a particular character? Like you just don't like that character. You don't like that character, or you develop a kind of love, like very intense love towards a character. Like you just love this character. You don't want anything to happen to this character, and it could actually break your heart if something bad happens to this character. I want to know, are there people like that? You've seen you've seen a movie, or you've read a story, and then you're so in much in love with a particular character, or for not just reason you hate a particular character. I want to know in the comment. You can just let me know. Is there anyone that's had that experience? So I think I'm back now. Please, am I still audible? Please, is my audio still clear? Yeah. Oh, no sound. Apologies. So I think I lost. We had a break in my internet connection. So as I was saying, I'm sure I'm very audible now. Okay, please, if you can hear me now, please kindly let me know in the comments. So I was talking about developing a particular. You can hear me now.
I can hear
Okay.
you. I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I was talking about characters and how it is that readers view your story from a character's viewpoint. Now, if you are intending to go into story writing to make a lot of money into story writing, these are the fundamental things that you need to take note of. These are the fundamental, in as much as I'm just explaining them summarily, because there's a whole lot to story writing, which is why I created the story writing profit accelerator course that you can be part of. You get to know how you can be part of that course at the end of this session. So, but just know that just with what I'm sharing in this session, it should serve as a great kickstart for you, and some checks that you should have, some things that you should have at the back of your mind to make a great story. So kindly listen and listen very carefully. Whether you want to go into story writing, or you want to promote a product that has to do with story writing, so that you have an idea of what story writing is and how people make money from story writing. So I was talking about readers viewing the story from your character's viewpoint, and that's what led me to asking, before I lost my volume, that's what led me to asking if at some point you are reading a story, or you are seeing a movie, and then you develop a particular get so affiliated with a particular character, like you just love the person or you just hate the character. Now that is what characterization does, because characterization is the lifeblood of any story. And then you realize that a character could be unalived, right? And then you feel so down, like, why should this happen to this character? This character does not deserve this kind of thing. So why is she acting? Why did she have to betray? Like, it feels like you are into the story, and if you had your way, you could, the writer of that story, or the movie producers, you could like give them, backhand. Why did you allow this to happen to this kind of character? You understand? So that is a product of excellent story writing. Characters at the core of every good story is a well-developed character. If you do not take anything home from this session, please take note of this. At the core of every good story that you are writing is a well-developed character. A well-developed character with a proper and engaging character arc. We are going to be explaining all of that later on. Then moving further, another element of story writing is the theme of a story. So the theme of a story is the central idea of the story, which you are trying to convey to the reader. It could be about hate, it could be about love, whatever the theme is. It could be revenge. It is the lesson the reader learns after reading the story. Every story has to be didactic. There has to be a lesson learned at the end of the story. No good story writer writes stories out of the blues. In as much as it is fiction, in as much as it is imaginary, it's supposed to pass a message. If your story does not pass a message, then it will not make a good story. It will not make a good story. Let's take, for example, there is this popular series that just popped on my mind. I've forgotten right now. But for me, if I'm reading a story, if I'm reading someone's story, or I'm seeing a movie, and I cannot really deduce anything, no lesson at all to be learned. I mean, it's for entertainment, but even if it is not as educating as entertaining as it is, then there was no point putting it out there, right? There was no point putting it out there. Yeah, okay. The movie I was trying to remember is Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders. I'm sure it's a very popular series that a lot of persons have also watched. So whenever I watch the Peaky Blinders, any series or any episode of Peaky Blinders, I come up with a lot of story ideas. I come up with a lot of lessons, life lessons, right? And that applies not just to that, every other book out there, every other story out there, every other movie out there that you are seeing. I'm just using these popular examples that are relatable to everyone. So the theme of your story is the central idea of your story, which you are trying to convey to your reader. So readers have to sometimes try to see the big message that the writer is trying to give by showing the characters' actions and ways of thinking. So it is through how you develop your characters that, of course, you are going to be able to push your theme so that your readers will understand. You will not come and tell us this book is about love. This book means that love still exists. No, you're not showing us that, right? You're not telling us that. Rather, you're not you're not telling us that in your story. Rather, it is a series of events that take place in your. Now I'm talking using love, for example, if I'm writing a romance story, right? So it is a series of events that take place in your writing, or yeah, it's the series of events that take place in your writing. The dialogue that occur between your characters that will push the particular theme that you have in mind for your readers, such that if 10 readers are placed on a survey, they should not have distinct theme as what it's distinct suggestions as to the theme of that particular story. So if I'm writing a story and I give it to 10 people to read and evaluate that story for me, I should not have 10 distinct themes. They should all be related. And if they are all related, that means that I've done my job as a good writer. And as you can see, all what I'm talking about still has a linkage to characters and characters development. Like I said, if you do not take anything away from this session, at least take note of the fact that at the core of every great story is a well-developed character and character arc. So also another element of story is the conflict. So the conflict is a struggle between two opposite sides in a story. Now there's always a problem or challenge around the story around which the plot is based. Remember, I talked about the plot as being the sequence of events in your story. So it forms the main structure of the plot. That's the conflict. Now, these conflicts could be external or internal. It could be external conflicts are created by an outside force. Well, internal conflict is that the character itself is battling with, right? That the character is battling with. All of these are very extensive topics that the short time that we have for this particular session will not afford us to, go into deeply. But please take note of this thing that I'm saying summarily, and I'm sure we already with our notepad, as I said. So all these elements is what makes up a very great story. All these elements is what makes up a very great story. Now, let us look at character and character development. Character and character development that I've been talking about before we proceed. Characterization and character development. So characterization, I think after now we are going to be talking about, because of course after learning should be earning. So if we are getting to know about story writing, and we should also be getting to know about the opportunities that we have as story writers to earn, because what is work if there is no pay? So characterization is fundamental. Is actually a literary device used in story writing to convey the traits, the motivations, and the psychological complexities of characters. Now, it plays a crucial role, like I've said, it plays a very crucial role in developing a narrative. A well-crafted character can drive the plot and engage readers, but a poorly crafted character will only do otherwise. So this is your main building block of fiction, no matter the genre you are writing on, right? No matter the genre, where you're writing on colonial romance, where you're writing where you are writing mafia, where you are writing paranormal, where you are writing young adult, where you are writing science fiction, whether you are writing a whole lot of genres out there, right? Erotica, whatever it is that you're writing, whatever genre of story that you're writing, at the core of it, the main building block of any fiction at all is characterization. So it's characterization that anything that teaches your audience about your character, that's what characterization is. Anything that makes anything that helps to develop a particular character, a particular character from one stage how that character develops into the traits that he has, okay, the abilities that he has, his weaknesses, all of that come into what forms characterization. And the most common ways in achieving this are, through their concrete actions. What do your characters do? Please, are we learning? I want to be sure that we are following. Are we learning? Are we learning? Are we learning? Let me know in the comment section that I'm not alone. Let me know in the comment section that I'm not alone. Are we learning? Are we getting value for this session? Are you glad to be here? I want to be very, very sure that I have people that are following me. All right. Well, while we're still on that, as I was saying on characterization, the most common way at achieving a proper characterization is through the concrete action. That's the way you portray your characters, right? The concrete action, dialogue, and description of thoughts, actions, and comments made by one character concerning another. So these are various ways of portraying the character of characters in your story, right? Their actions, how do they act? What is their tone when they are speaking with another character? How do they address issues, right? Are they like how intelligent are they in handling situations, right? How smart are they? So all of these, it is how you put all of this together that makes up for characterization. Now, of course, we cannot talk about characterization without talking about character. So, as I had earlier said, character is just a person, animal, being, creature, or anything in the story at all. So, we use characters in our story writing to perform the actions and speak dialogue, moving the story forward. So, it is your characters, of course, that moves the plot of your story forward. By moving forward, I mean it is what engages and develops sequence of events that you have for your story. So in characters, we have the major characters and we have the minor characters, as already been said. Major characters are those characters who are very instrumental to the development of your story. The plot is mainly around them. So in a particular story, you could have one major character or you can have two major characters. And like I previously said, the kind of stories I write, we call them the male. If the major character is a male, call him the male lead, male ML1, ML2, or female lead FL1, FL2 gate, based on their degree of importance for your story. So your major characters, they are your example is your protagonist and your antagonist. So the decisions that are being made by these characters will be affected. The decisions that are being made by these characters will be affected by conflict from within or from outside. Remember, I talked about conflict as being one of the core elements of story writing. So, moving forward, your minor characters, although not as important as your major characters, yet they play a very large part in your story. Their actions help to drive the story forward. They may impact the decisions of the protagonist or the antagonist, either helping or interfering with the conflict. So that is where your minor characters come in. And we also have other kinds of characters outside the major and the minor characters. We have the foil, we have the static character, we have the dynamic, we have the flat, we have the round, and then we have stock. All of these are different kinds of characters. And I've also talked about character development, because when we have character, we have character development. And please note, this is very important, right? This is very important. So you want to pay closer attention to this particular part of the session, character development, when you're writing your stories, right? Because what I'm really taking time to emphasize on all of this is that if you miss these fundamental things, it's not about I want to make $100, I want to make $100, I want to make 100. How fast can I start earning when I start story writing? Or let me say, I enroll for your course, the story writing professor accelerator course. How fast can I start earning? It's just money that is on your mind. The money will never finish. That's the truth of the game. But if you sit yourself, if you look in to master this skill and to pay close attention to what I'm saying, master the skill first, then the money will always be there. That's why I'm taking time to explain all of this before even talking about the earning, because I'm sure a lot of us are joining this life to be told, okay, do ABC, and then you start making $1,000 or you start making $400 immediately. I'm using dollars because the foreign market is what is paying better. So I'm sure we are not expecting me to talk about how you can get paid in naira. Of course, there could be some opportunities there. I mean, if you want to really, really scale and really, really want to make more money for your skill and for your craft, you are looking about foreign sites, foreign companies that are ready to pay you big. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be discussing. I really, really hope that I have that time, because I've been notified that my time is very short. So let me quickly talk about character development before proceeding. That is your character arc. How do you form your character arc? How do you build your characters into being lovable, into being relatable by your readers? So most people, whether they realize it or not, right, they are writing novels in a very, very inefficient way. They are writing their stories in a very inefficient way. And this, I'm saying this particularly to those that are already writers. I'm not even talking about those that intend to learn, right? It's those that are writing, a lot of persons that are already writers are writing their stories in a very inefficient way. So they get to wonder and think why they get stuck in a particular place, or get stuck halfway through their book or through their novel, or why they are not having, why they feel it is creative block, writing block. Sometimes it's not writing block. It could just be that you don't know what you are doing or what you are supposed to do. Or you could be thinking, why is the ending of my story not so strong? Why am I not having cliffhangers, a very good cliffhanger? And that's because character development, your characters are not likable. People dump your stories because, I mean, the characters, that the way you are developing them, it's not likable, so to say. So this is because the characters in such stories aren't nearly as developed or as three-dimensional as they are supposed to be. So when you are creating a story, you need to start by developing the characters first. And this is where a lot of persons get it wrong. A lot of persons rather start thinking about the plot of their story. Now, this is actually a very exclusive information that I'm sharing on this live right now, right? Yeah, and there's no problem with it. It's a privilege. That's why at the beginning, it's a very big privilege for you to be listening to this live session right now. So a lot of persons do it the other way around. So they start their story, think about the sequence of events. How will my story go? As they are developing their story ideas, they are thinking of the plot first. Exposition, rising action, inciting incidents. All of that I talked about in the plot, although I not explain it in depthly. Whereas the best thing to do if you want to have a very good story at the end of the day is to start with your character, is you start with developing your characters first. And that is before plot, before thinking about theme, before setting. Okay, so already have the story idea, right? From there, it is your characters. Put it aside until you have your POV, like the point of view characters, how your characters are going to be developed. And why am I saying so? Because, like I've been saying repeatedly, characters are at the heart of your stories. They are the reader's point of connection. That is your characters where your readers can come into the story. So your readers relate more with your story through your character. So if you fail at that link, your character is that link between your reader and the story you're writing. So if you fail at that link, then the whole story has failed. So they are the reader's point of connection with your novel, and they will see your readers, you see all the events of the stories through your character's eyes. So it's very important. I've been stressing this. Character and character development is, if not the most important, if not like, it's the most important. I say it, you can quote me anywhere. It's the most important part of your story writing. So when you are building your characters, how do you build them? You build them from inside out. You build them from inside out. Now, there are a lot of things about building your characters from within, okay, from within to without. There are a lot of things inside it, and we are running short of time. I'm not really going to be able to talk about it comprehensively, but I'm just going to rush over it. So let me just, if you are quick to note, you can just note this down. So the important things about building your character are their core fears, their core motivations, their core values, the lie, their ghosts, their wants, their need, the super objective. All of these should be taken into consideration when you're building your character. So you're kind of, this is what is going to make up your character avatar. So you have an idea of what they look like at their best and what they look like at their worst. This is the foundation of developing your characters, of course, in and by extension, foundation of developing your stories. So this is the checklists, like I said, their core fear, their core motivation, their core values, their lie, the ghost, the want, the need, and the super objective. So when you're going through this process, it ensures that you have a well-developed and three-dimensional characters, unique and active. Each element that I've mentioned above, each element that I've already mentioned, they are all interconnected with others, so that your character's trait and abilities are coherent and consistent, right? They are coherent and they are consistent. Not that you'll be having character that is having mood swing. You don't even know whether this character is a lovable person or whether this character is not, or whether is a mafia, or whether he is a rude character or whether is a patient character. Like you're patient with people, you communicate, he or she communicates better with other people. Like you're taking us back and forth. We don't even know who this character is rather. So using these elements, you'll be able to build a proper character avatar. You'll be able to build a proper character arc, and you're going to be able to develop them. You're going to be able to develop them properly. So, okay, let me take, for example, as I'm closing on this section on character development, remember I talked about the different elements, right? Their core fear, their core motivations, and all of that I mentioned, right? So the Airbender, avatar, the last Airbender, I'm using this story as well to portray this particular explanation. Avatar, the last Airbender, I'm sure a lot of us have seen that series, right? Why am I using series? Like I said before, the popular one, so that everybody can relate to it. So we see that is the character. Sorry, is the avatar, right? So he has incredible powers and is destined to save the world. I'm talking about how important character development is. So Ang's ghost is that he originally ran away after finding out he was the avatar. He froze himself in a block of ice to save him and his pet in a terrible storm. Now, what is ghost? I not explain that because it's actually quite extensive. So ghost is that thing that keeps haunting a particular character, that makes them feel that like it's a top kept secret from other characters and maybe from the audience at first. So instead of slapping your audience with a long monologue about how terrible your character's childhood was, you try to give them a glimpse or hint about the ghosts or the big reveal. So this is what the ghost is about. It's a long kept secret from other characters. So as I was saying, back to our avatar explanation, right? I was using Avatar to explain Avatar the Last Airbender to explain this. So Aang is the Avatar, and thus he has incredible powers. And then Aang's ghost is that he originally ran away, as I already said. Now, as a result of this, the Avatar disappeared for a very long time, 100 years, and the evil Fire Nation came and destroyed everyone. Now, Aang's ghost is so powerful because his disappearance from the world was his own fault, and as a result, he carries a lot of guilt and insecurity. This is just one of the elements that I was talking about that you should take note of when you are building your character profile, right? Ghosts. I'm just using this as an example. That in that character that makes him feel that he's supposed to do more, that he owes the people, that he owes some people a certain sort of responsibility, and that wouldn't let him rest until he fulfills that. My time is really up. It's really going up. But okay, so that's that about character development, character arc. Like I said, we have a whole lot to share about story writing, but time would not permit. That's why I came. That's why I put together the story writing profit accelerator course. That's why I put together the story writing profit accelerator course. And in this story writing profit accelerator, you're going to learn a lot of things from story writing, about story writing and how to get started as a story writer. Majorly, you're also going to be learning about different foreign sites that you will be writing for. Learn about writing from scratch. Now, note that this particular course is this particular program is for anyone that wants to earn. It does not matter if you are a writer or you are not a writer, or you're a story writer, or you are a newbie or a pro. You get, as far as you have that willingness to learn, then you can go for it. Or I also understand that there are some of you here that may not necessarily want to be the story writers yourself. Maybe you want to promote a particular product, that particular product. Now, this course, this PA course, Story Writing Product Accelerator, since it's Digitstem, it's live on Digitstem right now. So maybe if you're an affiliate on this particular live and you're looking for one of the best courses out there that you can promote and make a whole lot of money from this, then this course, it should be one of the things that you should. This course is definitely the product that you should be promoting right now. Because I'm talking about affiliate that are on this live. As an affiliate promoting this particular course, you get to have 60% commission. That's very huge. And if you also check the resources page of your Digitstem, this platform, you also see where you can join our WhatsApp affiliate group, support group. So I was talking about story writing. Now let's see. Let me quickly touch on how you can earn with story writing. So how many of us know which example is very popular? Wattpad. Let me use Wattpad for example. Wattpad, yes. How many of us know Wattpad? Wattpad, let me know in the comments if you know Wattpad. Wattpad, it is one of those sites. Growing up, I really used to love to visit and read stories. But then I never really knew. I was just reading for fun. I'm sure a lot of for those that are reading, just reading for the fun of it and not necessarily about earning. But then, as I got to discover that, man, this is an earning opportunity. It's an earning opportunity for us. That this could be an earning opportunity, and I got to discover several other sites and companies that are ready to pay you big time for you to write stories for them. But unlike other sites, unlike Wattpad rather, because Wattpad is just an invite only. I'm trying to see if I can share my screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. So Wattpad is an invite only site, which means if they do not invite you to write for them, you cannot get paid. You can only be writing for fun. I don't know who here just wants to be putting in skills and time just to be writing for fun and not get paid for it. But then there are other top sites, better companies, better foreign sites out there that are in heavy need of story writers. I'm telling you this as an authority in the field that story writing will make you a lot of money. Yes, I said that story writing is going to make you a lot of money if you go by the way I show you. You go by the way I show you, story writing is going to make a lot of money. And these are the sites that I've exposed, that I've talked about, explained how you can get a contract on this site and start earning. So I think my screen is sharing now. I don't know, can you see my screen? Can you see my
No,
screen?
we can't see it. No, we cannot see it.
Okay, I think it's still loading. It's still loading. So as I was talking, as I was saying, that story writing is okay. All right. Coming, give me a second. Let me put up my screen again. Okay. Oh, so we just need to. I think I had some slides that I wanted to show us, but the way I'm seeing it, it seems as though it wants to take so much of our time. But I'll just proceed. I'm very sure that we are following and we get the conversation, we get the gist, right? So as I was saying, story writing is what is going to make you a whole lot of money if you put yourself into learning and learning it properly, right? So these are sites that are looking for stories, web novels, like what I mean by web novels are novels that are being read on the internet without not the traditional publishing where you have books being published or maybe on Amazon where you have to and all of that. Talk about the cost of traditional publishing. No, web novels is taking over the industry. Web novels is taking over the globe because a lot of foreign sites are coming out, both the old ones that are really high paying. I mean, I'm talking about sites that can pay as much as $400 to $1K in a month. I'm talking about stories. If you are writing stories, by the way I'm showing you, can for one story you can earn as much as 400 as well in a month for just one story that you are writing, right? And now you don't even need you also need to be a writer. Not want to maybe write because of your skill or whatever. I'm in my story writing profit accelerator course that I talked about. You can as well. I'm also showing you how you can outsource because there's a provision for that. But then to outsource is not something that you do by guesswork. It's something that you need to do professionally, and you need to know the perfect way to go about it. So you basically just outsource, and then you split the whatever profit that you get, and then you go home basically not doing anything at the end of the day because you're not the person that was writing. So I think at this point I'll start taking up questions so that I will know which side I should revisit in about story writing. So I'll know, okay, what more thing would you love to know about story writing, and any other additional thing that I may want to bring up since we have really spent a lot of time. But I'm very sure, I want to be very sure that we've got a lot of value so far from this session. So let's maybe getting our questions. I still have a couple of things to share, but I'll just pause for now and get questions that I know how to round up properly. I still have a couple of things to say about story writing. Yeah, the things you should take notes in your stories, how you can become a student of my course. That's the story writing profit accelerator course, or as an affiliate, how you can be earning from promoting the course and all of that. But at this moment, I'll be open to taking on our questions. So questions. Do we have any questions? Is there any aspect of story writing? Because it's actually broad. I mean, one webinar cannot actually cover story writing. So I just tried my best to do justice in the short time I have to highlight the very important things that you must note when writing your story. So let me know questions. Is there anything that I talked about in the course of the session that you don't understand or anything? Or anything you want me
Okay,
to
I have a
follow on
question.
continuing writing stories?
I have a question.
Okay.
Can I go ahead? Okay. So during the course of your teaching, you are using a lot of movies that we watched. I mean, you talked about Love in Every Word, Achalugo. Yeah, I think I saw somebody asking, is it Achalugo? Yes, Achalugo is Love in Every Word. You use Avatar, you use other things like that. So I wanted to ask, those movies that you mentioned, I know you were trying to use them to explain, but then what if I have a story and I actually want it to be acted out like Love in Every Word? How do I go about it?
Okay. So you say
Or
you
that's
have
not
a
part.
story and
Yes, I want it
you
to
have
be
a story
acted
and you would
out.
love it to be acted out as a movie.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Okay,
about.
perfect. So that's clearly 100% possible. And just like I had said about the story writing profit accelerator course. So a lot of sites that I talked about in that course, right? A lot of sites I talked about that course. Now there are two kinds of contracts that you get from this foreign site. Could be exclusive or non-exclusive. Now, if you are getting an exclusive contract on this site for your story is accepted on exclusive contract. Now, these stories, yeah, you'll be paid when this because most of these stories, right? Most of these stories are being how what's that word? Okay, they are being acted out. Let me use the simple thing and not a technical phrase. they are being acted out in movies, right? It may not be the conventional movies that you see on Netflix and all. I don't know. Does anybody know Drama Box? Drama Box is a perfect example of such. I don't know if anyone knows Drama Box here, right? So most of these stories, your stories are being, you write these stories. There are people that read them in written form, and then they cite on their own because of the agreement that you have with them. And of course, it pays very highly. It pays such kinds of contracts pays very high because they are kind of buying the rights to that story to reproduction rights to reproduce them into different stories. So by writing stories for these sites, of course, it can now be reproduced into movies. So if you have interest in maybe writing, you feel that okay, my story should be reproduced into movie. I would love to have my story reproduced into movies and shows and series and all of that. Then it's simple. You just learn about this site. Like you can maybe if someone on this live is listening to that or has interest in that, can just enroll for the course. Get to learn about this site, get to sign a contract with them, and then your story, whatever story that you're writing, will be reproduced into different digital formats to be in series, in audio series, or in movies, or of course the normal novel, online web novel. Of course, I'm sure we all know what I mean by web novel, right? The novels outside the traditional kinds of novels, like we read them with apps, the different apps and all of that. So that's it. That's basically it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal reproducing your story into movies. You just need to get sign an agreement with these foreign companies and sites that are willing to do that. And they do that a lot. With a lot of stories daily, monthly are getting signed and are being reproduced into movies. So that's one of the reasons why I use movies. I used a couple of movies, for example, because these movies are basically stories, right? They're basically stories. So somebody can maybe transcribe them into a novel, or as it was a novel, reproduced into a movie form, a video format, act it out. So that's it. When you understand this core part of story writing, you know that okay, this is the idea behind every great movie that I've been seeing, or this is the idea, this is what this writer did to have this particular story come out very well. So that's why I'm focusing on highlighting those things that one should take note of when writing their stories.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, so if you have any questions, this is the time to ask your questions. Because after this time, if you want to speak with Mr. Kunam, you are going to pay money for consultation. So this is the best time. Seize this opportunity. Offer available while stock lasts. And the stock is this evening, because by the time we close, period, that's the end. Okay, I'm just joking though. So, okay, while we're waiting for questions, I think so that we'll just round up at the same time. How can people reach out to you? How can they? Okay, you mentioned how they can get your course available on Digitstem platform. You're an affiliate, simply log into your dashboard, the market space, look for story writing, search for story writing, and you'll be able to whether sell the course or purchase the course for yourself. But then to reach out to Mr. Kuna, maybe if you have issues or you want to speak to him personally, how can they reach out to you?
Okay. Okay, of course. I'm pretty active. I'm pretty active on social media. Pretty active, but I'm more active currently on X. So if you just search me, I think my name is here. This name that I'm presenting now, Kunam Isemin. Kunam underscore Isemin. If you search that on X, you are going to find me, or Isemin01. That's my user. You can send me a DM on X, on Facebook, or I may not see your message early. You send it on Messenger. With X, I'm going to see it very fast. Yes. And even here on YouTube, right? Even here on YouTube, you can also check out my channel, Konami Semin. You're also going to see other material that I've put up on my channel. You're going to see testimonials of students that have had life-changing experiences through my course, and more details. You want to also know more details about the story writing profit accelerator course. You can as well check my YouTube channel, Konami Semin, and you are going to see more details about that. So that's the way you can reach out to me on X. You can reach out to me on X, Kunam underscore is Semin. I'm always available 247. Like, okay, 247. I'm always available 24 hours at 20 hours out of 24 hours. The other 4 hours are easy to sleep because sleep is important. But for every other time my data is on, I'm always available online. So if you have any issues, my X is there, my Facebook is there. I visit there once in a while. On Instagram, you can also search me up, but I'm not really active. But like I said, X is a main deal. X and Facebook. So you can reach out to me there and we can get to have a conversation. So like the host, like our host has said, that whether that notwithstanding, if you are a student that is intending to take up story writing, a couple of people, okay, let me even point out now, so a couple of people actually called in, a couple of, you could actually hear some people talk about it as ghost writing, right? It's the same category because ghost writers, most of them are writing stories. Most of them are writing stories, and a lot of them don't even really have a very good grasp of how this thing work. Okay, how to make up a very good story, right? So with whether you're a ghostwriter or story writer, or you want to get into ghostwriting or story writing proper, with ghostwriting you can ghostwriting it just means you writing for someone else and another person taking the credit. So it could be ghostwriting an article. You could be a ghostwriter as like writing articles or writing marketing copies or writing any kind of thing, right? But then as a ghostwriter that is writing stories, right? You want to be a ghostwriter and then you want to measure on stories. Then the story writing profit accelerator course is your best shot. And then for the affiliate, you are looking for the course that is going to give you a lot of earnings, has a very high commission percentage. I don't think you'll see it anywhere. 60% commission for a 30,000 naira course is very huge. But I'm not really seeing question. I wanted to give some people, I wanted to see if there are people that could if I could extend my benevolence to grants up to like 5 people on a sort of discounted offer for being in this life up to now. But since I'm not seeing comments of people, if maybe, okay, let me just make it open in case as you are seeing this. But let me just make it open. So if you're on this live right now, this particular thing that I'm actually saying is just for those on this live. Please don't message me on my social media and say, okay, maybe after many days, say I hate this is just for you. So just for 5 people, just for 5 persons that intend to proceed to get started with story writing. And this kind of story writing I'm talking about is writing stories for foreign sites, right? The pay is in dollars, not in naira. So if you are looking at getting started with story writing, getting to earn in dollars, this is what you can do with your smartphone. And then you are interested in being in my student community, you're interested in being part of my mentorship cycle. You have between now and this time tomorrow, can message me on any social media handle that I talked about between the next 24 hours. Between now and this time tomorrow, I'll be on the lookout for such messages. And you can enroll. The course is currently just 30,000 naira only, like not compared, cannot be compared to what you stand to earn. But if you message me in the next 24 hours between now and this 829, sorry, 809, I mean 909, right? By 909 tomorrow, this offer expires. So you can actually get the story writing profit accelerator course at a 10% discount, right? So that's instead of 30,000 naira, you can get it at 27,000 naira, right? And that's just for those that are enrolling within the next 24 hours. So if you are getting to watch this later than 24 hours from when this is being live from today, Saturday 29th, please know that the offer has expired. So that means tomorrow, Sunday, is the last day. If you want to get into my mentorship, 10% off for you. That's as my bonus for you staying through to this life, because I'm sure some people had left at the beginning. So that's for you for staying through to this life. This time, 10% off. Message me on X, message me on Facebook, Konami Semin. You can copy out my name here, Konami Semin. Message me on Facebook, just say, I'm from Digitstem Life. I want to enroll for the story writing HPA course. You can put it like that in short. HPA course at a discounted price. Please, if you are seeing this video after 24 hours that I've made this statement, please don't bother messaging. Just go ahead and get the course at 8,000 naira. So that's just it. That's it for everybody that is interested in that. You have that open offer 24 hours from now. So I think that's it for affiliate. For affiliate as well. You can be promoting the product, get a lot of commission and be part of the affiliate challenge that's ongoing at the moment. Join our affiliate group. There's a lot of opportunities. I've created a whole lot of opportunities with that course. Whether you're a writer or you're an affiliate, there are a whole lot of opportunities for you to earn. So you have no excuse. And this system has just brought that opportunity closer to your doorstep. So you should actually really jump on it.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kunam. It was nice having you. And in the absence of no
Thank you.
question, I believe we can bring this live space to an end. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Kunam. Thank you so much, guys, for attending tonight's session. It was really nice having you around. And yes, this is still the Money Game Show. It happens every Saturday right here on YouTube, every Saturday by 8 p.m. West Africa time. Every Saturday on YouTube. This is a show where we bring different professionals to teach you how to up your money game with their different skills. Okay, this night we have talked about story writing, and this is an amazing way to earn in dollars from the comfort of your home. From the comfort of your home, you want to maximize the information that you've heard this night and implement it, and be sure, be very sure that by December 2025, you are balling. You feel don't buy car safe. You might have bought a car. Who knows? If you're hardworking enough. So yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Don't forget to subscribe, please, and follow
Thank
us
you very
across
much.
all our socials. Follow us on Twitter at Digitstem. Follow us on Instagram at Digitstem_. Follow us on Facebook at Digitstem as well. And subscribe. Subscribe to this. It is free, but it means a lot to us. It is free, but your subscription means a lot to us. Okay. If you notice, we are on 12,000 plus. Get us to 15,000. Just subscribe. It is free, but it means a lot to us. Okay. Thank you so much. See you guys next week, Saturday,
Thank you very
same
much.
time, 8 p.m. West Africa time, with a different professional. All right. Good night, guys. Have a blessed week ahead. Bye.
Thank you.